Hello, welcome to Region Weather Live, your YouTube source for weather across the Dakotas and Minnesota. I'm meteorologist Brad Warner, and we got an update for you with this storm system that's going to be moving through our area beginning Monday and carrying on into Tuesday and Wednesday. Still a lot of questions, unfortunately, but we're going to take a look at the latest model guidance. And so starting off here Saturday morning at the upper levels, we're taking a look, and you can see that trough has now made it on shore. On the southern half, that area where we're going to be watching for the development of the larger storm that's going to be coming Monday has just made it into the southwestern portion of the United States here this morning. So hopefully we'll be getting a little better handle on it from here on out. But as of up till now, the models have really been struggling with what to do with this as this ejects out going into Monday. But in the meantime, we've got this other low that's a little bit further to the north and is moving through our region here this morning and actually bringing some rain, some snow across northwestern parts of North Dakota here Saturday morning. And here you can see on the radar some rain across Williston, Minot, some snow just beginning to seep into the far northwestern part of North Dakota. Overlaid over the top is some of the wind gusts. You could see 27, 33 miles per hour, 26. Perhaps some gustier winds eventually further to the south, but again, that's going to be mainly south of where the main snowfall is really going to be occurring. But so far, not a whole lot of snow has fallen. I take a look at some of the traffic cams for North Dakota. We look way to the northwest here. You can see just some snow on the ground, not a whole lot of accumulation, but looks like that road definitely is slippery, so be cautious if you're up west of the Crosby area. But if we go just a little east of there and we take a look at the road conditions, of course, we see just rain. Some of these areas in through here, that'll change. We're going to see a change over to snow, so do be careful as you go throughout the day across northwestern parts of North Dakota. But once that system moves through, we're going to refocus to this system that's going to be ejecting out of the southwest. And there you can see that low begin to kind of cut off and develop. And eventually, as we get into Monday, boost on out to the north and east, going into Tuesday and eventually into Wednesday. Now looking at the surface there, you can see that first low moving quickly off to the north and east. And there's our next little system pulling out of the south, bringing with it a good amount of moisture. Now, no matter what happens out of this, folks, at the very least, we're going to see a good amount of precipitation, whether it be snow or rain for your area is yet to be seen. But I think definitely for Minnesota, for some of you areas who are really dry out there, you're going to be seeing some good moisture moving into our area at least. And so that will be the good news out of all this by the time it's all said and done. And you can see, at least with this particular model, this is the American model, the very latest American model, and how this track basically moves up into Wisconsin and moves up in, well, the latest run kind of dumbbells it around and brings some snow, but it's a little more of the warmer solution compared to some of the other ones. It moves this system further to the east. It has more rain, not quite as much snow, or it actually moves the snow a little bit further to the east now, as you can see as we continue on. This is going into Wednesday. You can see how that low kind of dumbbells around and brings some snow across eastern Dakotas and into Minnesota before it completely moves on out of the region. But taking a look at the European model, that one's further to the west. This one kind of brings it up and more so into Minnesota as this carries on. And then as we get into Monday night and Tuesday, we could see that rain spreading across a good chunk of eastern Dakotas, Minnesota, but the snow further back into northwest North Dakota again, into central parts of North Dakota, perhaps just reaching into parts of South Dakota before everything eventually dries up and the system moves out of our region. And finally, one other look at another model is the Canadian model. And it's kind of the one in between. It moves it, the system kind of brings still a good amount of rain into the region, brings some snow across northern parts of North Dakota, and eventually into parts of eastern South Dakota, parts of Minnesota as well, before it moves out on Wednesday. So a couple different scenarios there. And obviously, if the one that moves a little bit further east, It's going to be bringing more rain, perhaps a little bit less snow, and more so if it does snow, more so into eastern Dakotas and into northern Minnesota. Now, if we take that little bit more of a westerly track and that system comes up, still a good amount of rain for Minnesota. However, that snow pushes further back into North Dakota, parts of North Dakota. And actually, if that happens, it would run into the colder air quicker and bringing at least a chance of more accumulating snowfall, at least across North Dakota. So which one's right? That is unfortunately still at Saturday morning really hard to predict. The models are they're still just so all over the place, and to really nail down exactly how much snowfall is going to occur, if snowfall is going to occur, and where it's going to occur, gosh, I unfortunately, we just can't get a good handle on it. So a lot of times what I like to do in this situation is just kind of take the in-between model and show you kind of that area that at least has the best chance for seeing the rain and the snow, because it just seems to be that middle ground between everything else. So for now, we're just going to be taking a look at the Canadian model and just kind of give you an idea of the timing. So we're going to start off around noon, 1 p.m. on Monday. And unfortunately, because we are using the Canadian model, it jumps 6 hours at a time. So we're going to jump ahead a notch, and this is actually going to be already 7 o'clock Central Time. And you can see the rain moving into southern portions of our region on Monday evening. By midnight, 1 a.m. Tuesday morning, that rain really begins to push into Minnesota and eastern parts of South Dakota. A good amount of precipitation, some good moisture moving in. Now further to the west, perhaps running into some colder air. So maybe a rain snow mix by the time we get into Monday night already. And then by Tuesday morning, still a good amount of rain across Minnesota, eastern parts of the Dakotas. That snow line begins to push just a little bit further east. We got the snow across north central parts of North Dakota. And then by the time we get to the noon time frame on Tuesday, still rain, but that snow moves a little bit further east. Perhaps a better chance of snow at least in that Devil's Lake Basin over westward to Rugby. Not quite to Minot perhaps at this point, but still pretty close. Just depends exactly on the timing of things. And then as we get to Tuesday evening around 6, 7 o'clock, still that snow lingering across northeastern and eastern parts of North Dakota. That rain begins to end, or kind of comes to an end across southern parts of Minnesota, at least according to this model. We'll see exactly what happens as we get a little bit closer, but we're just trying to give you at least an idea of some timing of some of the precipitation. And then Tuesday night around midnight, that snow continues across eastern Dakotas, northern Minnesota. The rain continues to move out. By Wednesday morning, most of the cold air has now seeped in. Most of the rain has moved out, and we're just left with some snow across the Red River Valley, across parts of Minnesota, before it comes to an end as we get to Wednesday evening and through the night, Wednesday night. Now, who's going to get the snowfall? Like I said, really kind of difficult still to predict, but if I'm going to pick an area, at least for the moment, right now it's going to be through this region here, across the north central, northeastern part of North Dakota, northwest Minnesota. You guys, at least for now, have the best chance for seeing some snowfall out of this system coming through the beginning of next week. Amounts, well, like I said, just still very much up in the air. Perhaps the good news is that it's going to be on the lower amounts. So we're not expecting this large scale, heavy dumping winter snowstorm across the region, but some areas that could pick up 6 inches of snow in some localized areas. It just depends on how exactly this plays out. But these areas in blue probably have at least a 50% chance of seeing at least an inch out of this storm system, if not more. But the good news out of all this, as we take a look at the drought monitor here, for a good portion across north central parts of Minnesota in that severe drought range, other areas, a lot of areas, at least in moderate to abnormally dry across parts of Minnesota. South Dakota also looking very bad, severe to extreme areas of drought. In North Dakota, especially out west, we're looking at a lot of severe to extreme drought, but unfortunately for you guys out in the western Dakotas, you're not going to see a whole lot of reprieve out of this storm system. So I guess for those of you across eastern Dakotas and across Minnesota, you are the lucky ones when it comes to moisture out of this. We're looking at some areas close to an inch, possibly more, maybe even an inch and a half or more in some of your areas I think the best chance for seeing a good amount of rain is probably going to be in that eastern Minnesota to southern Minnesota location. So if you're looking to get an inch or more, that's probably where I'm going to be looking at it, is kind of in that region. But by definitely going to help the drought conditions. And that's always a good news, especially for you farmers and ranchers out there who just desperately need some of that rain. Perhaps some of that snow even will help a little bit just to get some moisture back on the ground. But I wish I had more answers for you. Unfortunately, I just don't. I mean, I think by the time we get into Saturday night, Sunday morning, we'll have a better look as to what exactly is going to happen with this next storm system. It's looking right now to be more of a rain and a lighter snow event, which is good. At least we're getting some rain. We're not going to get quite the dump on us as far as the snowfall goes. I'm always okay with that. I know there's some snow lovers out there that are just wishing for some snow. I don't know if I am so much just yet. Maybe we get closer to Christmas and I'll be wishing for some snow on the ground, but I'm not quite there yet. But at any rate, we're going to be kind of watching this and taking a look. So be sure to keep an eye on all my social media channels for Facebook, Instagram, on X, just because I'll be putting on some graphics up there just to give you the latest update. And as always, make sure you subscribe down below and hit the little bell button that pops up. That way you're notified when I upload a video just like this, so you can keep informed on the latest conditions across the Dakotas and Minnesota as we go through the remainder of the winter. All right, everybody, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner for Region Weather Live. Everybody, have a good day.